Welcome to a special episode of Salsidoparanormal. I'm your host, James Salsido, and today we are continuing our review of the Twilight Zone TV series. As always, you can find all episodes of the show, along with links to social media and other ways to contact me, at the podcast page, and that is salsidoparanormal.podbean.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.podbean.com. Always happy to hear from you all, whether you have comments or questions or topic suggestions or accounts of paranormal experiences, whether their own or from others that you trust. Happy to either read those or have you join me on the show to talk about them. Thank you all for listening, whether you are here for the live streams on Discord or if you listen to the podcast or YouTube feeds or to the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting. There you can hear replays of 2 episodes of the show every night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, right before Troubled Minds Radio comes on. And as always, I want to thank Michael Strange, host of Troubled Minds Radio, for having me on the network and putting all my shows up there. If you'd like to support the podcast, you can do that in a few different ways. You can always share the show with others and rate and review it on your favorite podcast platform. You can find books I've written over on Amazon, paranormal fiction and nonfiction. You can also sign up for the Patreon page, where there will usually be 2 new episodes of the show every week of true paranormal stories from the web, whenever I'm able to do so. And that's for all paid membership levels there. Or you can just make a one-time donation through PayPal. Support is never expected, but always appreciated, as there are expenses in making these shows, from equipment to research materials to travel expenses in some cases. So this is actually, I've been sort of going back and forth on the title of this series. I think I'm just going to go with television and the paranormal, and then the Twilight Zone, and go with that. So, and I'm recording these, but I'm not releasing them sort of as I usually would, with the episode number included. So all that will be on the episode description. And so this is the 3rd episode in the series. It's gonna go on for a while, and then after we finish with this TV series, there will be others that I review, and movies and things. So, but yeah, the first 2 episodes are a lot of fun, and had some technical difficulties with recording the usual shows over the weekend. So I'm these review shows of the Twilight Zone will be what comes out this coming week. So that means I should get to the document here that has all the stuff on it. This 3rd episode of the series of the first, so season 1, episode 3, as they would say. Once I get to the right one here, because I'm not on the right one, and there we go. The title is Mr. Denton, if I can read, on Doomsday. So the plot is as follows. So it talks about this. It's set in the Old West, or a version of it, with this character, Al Denton. He was once basically the quickest gun draw in town, as far as duelist when it comes to guns. But later on, because of all the guilt over the people that he killed, I believe. So, and one of them was a teenage boy. He became he turned to alcohol, unfortunately, and became the laughing stock of the town. So at this point, and the episode shows this, at this point, a character in the show named Henry J. Fate, Fate, comes to town, and he drops intentionally a gun next to Denton, who has been basically he's had alcohol and he's out of it, and he fell, and when he came to, there was this gun on the ground next to him. revolver kind of thing, I believe. And once he picked up that gun, he found he had his basically he could shoot well again, no matter what was going on. And he noticed this large carriage that Fate, oddly enough, was driving. And of course, once basically things started to happen where he shouldn't have been able to make a shot, and even the gun seemed to fire on its own at times to do sort of tricks in a way. And so he he's afraid that there'll be at some point, once word gets through his newer returned abilities, people from all over will want to come and duel him, and then eventually he'll be killed. So he cleans up. Basically, it says in the summary here that I'm reading, and it's true. I'm kind of using a summary to go off of here, but he abandons the alcohol, the saloon and everything overall. He just drinks milk or whatever, and but he only does this so that he can die with dignity. It's basically that's his phrase. And so soon enough, after he's recovered and everything, and he's aware of what's going on, he is approached and dared to another, or challenge to another duel. And so he when he practices, when he tries, in other words, when he's trying to shoot well, he finds that he cannot make a good shot. Everything misses. So he's starting to pack, and he tries to leave, but he ends up talking with this guy who seems to know everything about him and others in the area. I'm sorry, him and yeah, really others in the area too. And this character, Fate, offers him a way out. Fate offers Denton a potion that he promises will make Denton the fastest gun in the area. And so but only lasts for 10 seconds. So Denton is skeptical, but Fate offers for sort of a trial, and Denton takes the trial and uses the potion, and it actually does work. So probably now is a good point to point out the obvious here. It's amazing how some of these shows, they involve entities that are sort of said to be aspects of reality, but in this show, they are characters. But it seems like in paranormal accounts, people will say, if I hadn't met this person or this entity, then things would maybe have ended up a lot different. Or if I hadn't gotten this message. In other words, fate does seem to be present in the paranormal world as well. So at the time of this duel, Denton faces off against his opponent, whose last name is Grant. Excuse me. And he's another younger gunfighter. So Denton takes the potion right before it happens, and but when they get done, or when they turn to face each other again, he notices Grant has a bottle that looks just like the one he had used. He had just now, that could have contained the potion. So he basically figures out that this other guy was given the same potion, probably by fate. But it's also, at this point, too late to back out of the duel. as far as everyone is concerned. And so they go forward with the duel. They both shoot at the same time. And they injure each other's hand so that they can never duel. Neither of them can ever duel again. They can't ever pull a trigger again. So Denton is sort of relieved at this point, while this opponent, Grant, is crushed because he still wants to be known as the best drawer, the best duelist in the area. And so, but Denton tells him that Grant is lucky because now he'll never die in a gunfight because he won't be able to enter one. And of course, Fate is watching all this and tips his hat to Denton, and then rides away, drives out of town. So that's the basic plot. But it's amazing, again, like I said, with the way it's done is very well done. It's I thought it was a neat ending there. It wasn't what I expected. I don't really know what I expected, but to have the story focus so much on Denton really helped make sure that I had no idea that what was coming at the end there with the potion, with Fate giving this other duelist the same potion. And so it was just a neat show. I think I'll leave it at that for this episode here, as far as for that, reviewing that show. Again, it's amazing how some of these shows feature aspects of, whether you want to call it reality or philosophy or who knows, mechanisms that are said to manage reality. They're personified in the series, and you hear about that sometimes, or at least people that are entities that seem to be agents of these various forces. So I think I can get through one more episode here, review one more show here before we end this episode of my show. So let me get to the next episode here. This one is episode 4 of season 1 of the Twilight Zone, and the title is The 16mm Shrine. So this is about a movie star who was getting older. Her name was Barbara Jean Trenton. The show starts off with her hiding away in her own private screening room in her mansion, basically large house anyway. And what she's doing is watching all of her old movies because she's really obsessed with the time and the roles that she was in, and she wants to she still wants to be in that time at the age she was at that time. Her house, I'm not sure if it would be an assistant or but anyway, her assistant, her employee, and then her agent, Danny, they arrange a part. Well, Danny arranges a part for her in a new movie, and so he convinces Barbara to leave the house and go to the studio to hear about it. And they all know each other because they've sort of haven't always gotten along. This movie studio director and director of the studio and Barbara haven't always gotten along. So he offers Barbara this part, but it's not anything that she wants. It's of an older woman, which she is, and they get in an argument and they basically tell each other off. And in the end, Danny tells off this director, telling him that he's basically being cruel by reacting the way he did and offering the part, even though he could have told, or he may have known already that she wouldn't have wanted it. So, so of course she goes back to the house and leaves, and Danny, of course, returns after that, and she wants to throw a party for the people that used to be in the films with her, the actors, basically her friends in show business. But Danny points out that all of them are either long distance now; they're moved away out of the area, out of Hollywood, or in some cases have passed away, and that she keeps wishing for things that are dead. So Barbara retreats to the screening room, and she wants to remain there basically indefinitely. Danny does manage to find one of the actors from the older movies, who is also, of course, now older, to the house, and to arrange a meeting of between him and Barbara, who, of course, they played the leading romantic relationship in this movie. And of course, she has this idea in her mind of what it looked like, and she's thinking of the movies. And of course, he looks a lot different. And after that, she tells everyone to leave. She tells Danny and this. Let me see here. I just gotta find his first name, Jerry, to leave. And so she goes back to her room, and she starts watching movies again, and to escape into that world, which is what she really wants to do. She and that's basically on her mind and all the time. And so she wants to be with the Jerry, the version of Jerry that's on the screen. And she's just over and over again saying she wishes she could be in that world, the one that's on the screen. So at one point after that, when the image on the screen in the TV show blurs, and then it fades out to the next part of the show. Barbara's maid, so it's a maid, I guess, comes with a snack and coffee to the screening room, but when she does, she finds that it's empty, and she sees something on the screen that terrifies her, and she calls Danny to come over and tells him that it seems to her like Barbara has vanished from the house. So, and she's not telling him this feeling that she had, which she kind of says after, like she's in the movie. And it's actually a movie. It's a movie of the house, and it shows Barbara, but in her younger self, with these different actors and other movie stars, looking as they did in the old films. And Barbara welcomes the party and invites them all to go out by the pool, which is where dinner will be served at. And Danny is getting this weird feeling, you can kind of tell by the way he looks, that this is not a movie. This is something else. And as he watches her start to leave the frame of the screen, with Jerry, with the younger version of Jerry, Danny calls out to her out loud and begs her to come back to reality. But in response, she turns and blows a kiss toward him and throws her scarf towards the camera and then leaves. And then the film ends. And Danny is just shocked, obviously, because this is not normally possible. And when he comes out of the screening room, he finds the same scarf on the floor that Barbara had thrown down or tossed down in the movie world universe thing. And it's right where it had been, right where it landed in the screen. And they all realize, he and the maid realize that she has somehow teleported herself into the film, into a different reality where it is very similar to the film. Of course, it's who knows. But it's just an amazing concept of the power of the mind and teleportation, possibly. But then, of course, how did the scarf appear on the floor in the real world where it did in the film? Was the film another version of the real world? Did she somehow take what she was seeing on the films and make some kind of world that looked similar, that was also somehow connected to the physical film? And so maybe she was in that previous time and dropped that scarf there. But then you would think if it was 20 years earlier, it might look different if it sat there for 20 years, which it doesn't seem like it did. There was not in the frame every time you saw that part of the house. So it's a very good episode. I kind of saw what was coming, but also just the way it was done was just amazing. And it was still just a great idea, a fascinating idea and concept. And you hear about, and so this is, I guess, the paranormal connection to all this. You hear about sightings of either characters from TV shows appearing to act differently in some rare paranormal cases. Or you hear about apparitions or things interacting with the TV and making themselves known visually, appearing on TV screens. And so there's that aspect of it. Of course, the other is the idea of alternate or parallel realities and how we might interact with those. And if within the focus and maybe other variables that who knows how they work, if they're there. I wonder if in some cases when there's vanishings and things like that, I wonder if in some cases it's because they just had this idea they wanted to be somewhere else in some other time and they somehow manifested it. Of course, that's all complete speculation. Who knows? But it's amazing to consider the possibility there. And I mean, I've heard before, and I've had a couple experiences with it myself, where people have talked about being in their favorite TV shows or movies in their dreams, or even video games. And I've had a couple of times where I've had dreams about being in video games that I knew, which was pretty amazing. Luckily, there was nothing going on in those dreams. Otherwise, that would have been terrifying because I play some action games here and there once in a while, so that might have not gone so well. But yeah, so great couple episodes there. We'll definitely be going over the next couple, and in the next episode of Salsidoparanormal. And I'll talk to y'all next time. Take care.